Hello, my name is Ben. Welcome to Ben's Language Lab. Stories are one of the best methods to improve at a language, and stories with pictures are even better. So today, we're going to be reading a comic together. This video is meant for beginner-level English learners, and so if you need, there are subtitles available, or you can see the entire transcript for all episodes on benslanguagelab.com. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this one. For now, your job is just to watch, listen, and enjoy. We're still reading Tintin and Red Rackham's Treasure, which is the second book in a series. And so if you haven't seen that other series or the other episodes in this series, you can click on the link in the description to start from the beginning. All right, let's get started. So last time, we remember that the gang, so Tintin, Haddock, and the two Thompsons, found some human skeletons. They found some skulls, and they're worried that there are cannibals around who might want to eat them or attack them. But we'll see what happens. And so they continue going on, going through the jungle, moving, walking through. Tintin has the rifle. He's going first. He's here in the front. Well, actually, Snowy's going first. Snowy is ahead of everybody else. And then there's Tintin, Haddock, and we only see one of the Thompsons, so we must assume the other one is further behind. And then we keep going, and we hear, "Ouch! I've got a pebble in my shoe," says Haddock. He's talking about in his shoe, right? So this is your shoe. Well, this is my slipper, but a slipper for outside is what he has. And inside his shoe, there's a little rock, right? When a pebble gets inside your shoe, you step on it and it hurts, right? And so he steps on it and goes, "Ow, I've got a pebble in my shoe. You go on, I'll catch up with you," he says. Or actually, he says, "I'll catch you up." Same thing. It's more common nowadays to say, "I'll catch up with you." And so he says, "You go on ahead. You guys keep going forward. I'll get the pebble out of my shoe and I'll come to catch up with you." So they keep going forward. They're going through the jungle. "Look, there," says Tintin. He sees something, and he is, look, they're holding their canes like rifles. They're canes for walking. "Oh, I'm so old, and I need a cane to walk." Like an old person, that's a cane that they have. And they're holding them like weapons. And then he says, "Look, and then one of them says, an idol, which is sort of like a doll, but it's more like usually a more historical or cultural artifact. It's like a thing or a person or a god or something like that. There's a lot of different meanings it can be, but it's like a thing like this that is made for some usually religious purpose is often called an idol. And so yes, an idol. But it's incredible, he says. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It looks so interesting, and it's right here in the jungle, right? It's in the jungle with them. And so they're going to go closer and check out what it is. I wonder what it is. "My word, it's meant to be Sir Francis Haddock," one of them says. So they realized that it's actually the pirate, or not the pirate, the Haddock's great-great-great-grandfather, whoever that was. And so it's supposed to represent him. It is him. He has a hat, it has his face and his nose and that sort of thing. So it's a representation of Sir Francis Haddock. "Look at that mouth. His voice must have made an enormous impression on the natives. I can just imagine their faces when they first heard him shout, 'Ration my rum!'" And so he's talking about the mouth, because the mouth is really big. And so he assumes that that Francis Haddock met the natives. He met them, and they were very impressed. They were impressed by his very loud voice, potentially, which made them make his mouth really large. And because they must have heard him shout, "Ration my rum," which is one of the things that Haddock says, because now we hear him yelling it, "Ration my rum," which is right, it's a swear. Oh, blistering barnacles. What's the matter, Captain? And then he says, who shouted like that? What? It wasn't you? And so he's asking who shouted. It wasn't him. It was not Haddock. It's not him. It wasn't Tintin. No, it wasn't me. Thundering typhoons. No, it wasn't me. And then he goes, oh, look, thundering typhoons. Yes, it's Sir Francis Haddock. And then we hear again, ration my rum. It came from over there, he says. So he's pointing over this direction now. So they go in, he's got his gun ready. He looks inside, but not a soul. Not a soul means no one. No one is there. Your soul is like your spirit inside of you. And so a soul also refers to a person, right? So I don't see a person in there. There is not a person in sight. And then we hear one of the Thompsons, he's all afraid. This island is haunted, Captain. We better hurry back to the ship. To be precise, let's hurry back to the ship. And so they're starting to stutter of fear, right? Stuttering is when you can't really get out your words. And they're starting to stutter, and that's how we write it, right? To the ship. And so they're very afraid because it's haunted. So they think that Sir Francis Haddock's ghost or his spirit is haunting the island and trying to fear them? No, make them afraid, trying to make them afraid. So they want to go back to the ship, but they want to run away. But then we hear Pithecanthropus, pockmark, coming from this direction now. Pockmark yourself, you gibbering ghost, says Haddock. And so now it's swearing more, right? This is how Haddock swears, right? He says nonsense words, right? Pithecanthropus isn't a word. Pockmark is, it's like a big thing on your face, like a divot if you have a skin problems. But they're mostly gibberish, nonsense, swear words, right? And so he's calling him a gibbering ghost. A gibbering person is somebody that says stuff without meaning. But then it's a ghost because he's a dead version of Haddock. And so he's running over to find out who it is making the sound. Come out if you dare, Polynesian, cannibal, iconoclast. And so now he's talking about, so Polynesia is a part of the world where the island presumably is. It's close, it's to Papua New Guinea, sort of north of Australia. And he's calling him a cannibal, which is really not very nice. He doesn't actually know that. You wouldn't do this today. It's a pretty it's insensitive thing to do. But thankfully, the person calls back to him and says that he's a nincompoop, ruffian, baboon, which are all more of his insults there. But then we see, up there, says Tintin, and he points, and they're birds. Baboon, squawking popinjay, sea gherkin, pickled herring. And so now we know that they're all parrots. So this is a bird, right? That's the general creature with wings. But this kind of bird is called a parrot. A parrot is a bird that will often speak things. Rock, rock, baboon, rock, sea gherkin. And they repeat stuff. And that's actually where you can also use it as a thing that you can do. You can parrot somebody as if you're repeating what they say. If you're repeating what they say, then you're parroting somebody. Right? That would be parroting. And then we see blistering barnacles. They're parrots. Or that's probably Haddock speaking. Yeah. Blistering barnacles. Parrots. Yes, parrots. From generation to generation, your ancestors' vocabulary has been handed down. So he's saying that from parent to child of parrots, they're handing down the vocabulary. So the words that they use Handing down is to give somebody something, but like from a father to a son, or a mother to daughter, or whatever relationship there is, or even from like a sibling to their younger sibling or something like that. But to hand something down is when you are done with something and giving it to somebody usually younger than you. That's what like a hand-me-down is. So, for example, if you have a shirt that was your mother's that you wear, that's a hand-me-down, and it was handed down to you. You can also hand down things like vocabulary, habits, beliefs. Lots of things can be handed down. And, of course, they're talking about Haddock's ancestor, so Sir Francis Haddock, because he must have handed down these words. Which, by the way, isn't possible. Parrots don't actually remember words like that, but it's a story. It's fine. Pockmark, freshwater swamps, bully. Me a bully? You called me a bully, did you? I'll show you what I'm made of. Sorry. So a bully is someone that's very mean, right? You're very not even like they're very mean to somebody to be mean. They want to be mean. Being mean makes them feel better in some way, or they think it does. And so calling somebody a bully is actually not very well. It's not that it's not nice if it's true. It's fine if it's true. But like the thing is that if you call somebody a bully, you're making a pretty big statement. You're saying that you like to be mean. And so in this case, and Haddock is taking offense to that. You called me a bully. I'll show you what I'm made of. To show someone what you're made of is to prove what you can do or what you will do, right? So let's say you have a friend over to your house, right? So you have your house here. This is you, and this is your friend. And you both are going into your house, and you're going to play video games together, right? You're going to play some video games. And so, but you've never played with them before. They're a new friend. And so you could say, all right, show me what you're made of, right? Show me what you can do. What kind of video games can you play? And this can be good for things like sports or even abilities, kind of a lot of different things that can apply to. So here's a coconut to cut your cackle, iconoclasts. I don't actually know what an iconoclast is, by the way. No idea, but he says it. A cackle is right, a very big laugh is a cackle. So he grabs a coconut, right? The big fruit thing. What is a coconut? Are they fruits? Are they nuts? Are they flowers? What is a coconut? We're going to learn this together. What is a coconut? The coconut tree is a member of the palm tree family. It is the seed or the fruit, which is a drupe. Okay, that didn't really help. It's the seed or the fruit. Yeah, so it is a fruit, or a seed. I don't know. There's another word in there. This is a drupe, which I've heard before, but I don't really know what it is. I guess it's a coconut or a kind of fruit. Huh. I don't know. If you know what a coconut is, let me know down below. In your native language or in English even. I'd be interested to know because I don't know what a coconut really is. Anyways, back to the story. Haddock grabs the coconut and throws it up at the birds. He throws it at them and goes, "Oh, my back. Oh, ouch, that hurt." So he hurt his back, and then Tintin says, "Oh, hang on. I'll help you. I'll rub it for you." Right? So that's sort of to massage somebody's back, right? To massage them, to rub it, is what he's saying. So he goes behind him to help him out, but then, conk, the coconut falls right onto his head, which is probably what we might call karma. So karma is when you do something and then it gets kind of done back to you, but in a different way. So bad karma is what if you do something bad, right? He threw a coconut at the birds. So his bad karma is that it falls on his head, right? And so it's a good word, by the way. It's a very good word. And then he says, "Your gun, give me your gun. I'm going to turn them into parrot soup." So he wants to shoot the birds now, but of course Tintin says, "No, get away. You're not going to kill these parrots. They're just parrots. They're birds. Hey, Captain, calm yourself. After all, they're only parrots, dude." "Bandits," he says, but Tintin really wants him to calm down. "Forget about them, Captain. Let's go on. Let's keep going. Come on." "You're right. Come on. Let's go." So he's a little upset. But my gun. Who's taken my gun? Right, so we put the gun up against the tree here, and now it's gone. No more gun. Who took my gun? Right? I only left it... Ooh, excuse me. A little burpee. "I only left it there for a moment. Perhaps it fell into the bush." And it's because he's like, what the heck happened to my gun? Did it fall into the bush? Haddock says. He's saying maybe it fell into the bush, right? Into the bush here. So Tintin goes and digs into the bush. Haddock says, "Got it?" "No, it's completely vanished. It's gone." "Blue blistering," he starts to say. But then Tintin says, "Shh, listen." "What's that noise?" "Wee, wee." What sound do monkeys make? "Wee, wee." Something like that. I don't make a good monkey noise. "Cree, cree, cree, cree." At least they're saying here. And so there's a bunch of monkeys up in the tree. These are all monkeys. Monkeys, and they all have the gun. They're all fighting over the gun to get the gun. And then Haddock, of course, starts yelling again. "Blistering baboons, monkeys, gibbons, orange orangutans." Is that how you used to spell orangutans? Orang-otangs. Huh. It's one word nowadays. Interesting. "Give back that gun." Oh, geez. Cercopithecus. Again, not a word. But he's calling them different names for monkey, right? Baboon's a kind of monkey. Monkey is a monkey. A gibbon is a kind of monkey. An orangutan is a monkey. Maybe this is another kind of monkey? I don't know. I've never heard it before. And they say, "It's no use, Captain. Leave it to us. I'll frighten them. Or leave it to me. I'll frighten them. I'll scare them. I'll scare them away." It's no use, right? It's not going to work. Don't even try. It's not going to work. It's no use. That's a good phrase. It's no use. It won't work. And so he tries, he grabs his cane and says, "Hands up! Bang, bang, bang!" "Hey, don't do that," says Tintin, because he's going to give them ideas. And so, of course, we know that the baboons don't know how to use a gun, but he might have given them a bad idea. However, that's all the time that we have for this episode. We're going to have to figure out what happens next in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching and enjoying. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel and comment down below with how it went. What did you learn today? And remember, there are transcripts available for everything on benslanguagelab.com. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.